Hello, hello. This is Tommy, or Sharth, Tommy Cherry, founder of Hip Hop DX. This is my boy, Brian Shafton, one of the owners of RBC Records. And behind you, you see a plaque of Big L. He recently purchased Big L. And you might be looking at this guy and saying, how's this white guy purchasing this Big L album? But I'd like you maybe just to give a brief history of how you got involved in the Big L album the first time. And Big L is somebody that Jay-Z thought was one of the best MCs and who tragically passed away 1999 when I was only able to come out with one album, considered one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. And most of you guys, at this point, I don't think a lot of people coming up now has heard of Big L, but it was very, very important to the hip-hop community. And during that time, he was very important. He was going to drop on Rawkus Records, or did
come out on Rawkus,
and Rawkus, which was one of the coolest independent hip-hop labels of the time. But tell a little bit about how you put it out 20 years ago.
It was a crazy experience where we got to work with Rawkus Records, and the owners there, Brian and Jared, came to us and said, after they'd put out Mos Def and Talib Kweli, who were still obviously hot in the game, said, we got the biggest score ever, we got this Big L record, and he had just died before that, and we knew that it was going to be some classic shit. So I was Vice President of Sales and Distribution at the time at Priority Records, and it was a really important record, not only for us, but for the whole New York community. What Rawkus really wanted out of this was a gold record. In the worst of all possible ways. And this is a good story, and I'm sure that Dan and Brian, or Jared and Brian, will really appreciate. We had shipped about 300,000 copies of this thing. And like I said, we really wanted it to be gold, to establish Rawkus as a real legit label, to establish Big L and his legacy, and to show what quality music was all about. I bullshitted shipped those extra 200,000 units.
Oh,
we
nice.
shipped it to a company up in, I won't even say what company it is, it's no longer around, I guess I can say it at this point, it was Valley Media. They bought 200,000 copies from us. In the meantime, we got it certified gold, went through all the accounts, and eventually they shipped it back. Since then, needless to say, we've shipped it 200,000, it would have gotten gold anyhow, but that's what we did to expedite it. But it was an unbelievable privilege and honor to be affiliated with such classic hip-hop, to be a part of history on that type of level, and to represent it. It's come around, like you said, full circle. I just recently acquired the full master. Got to work with Donald, Big L's brother, who runs the estate, and trying to recreate history in terms of trying to get additional components around it, lifestyle type of pieces, namely his rhyme books, in which case I'd really like to put him in the Grammy Museum and let the world see him and be able to really experience Big L as he was meant to be. One of the all-time class acts, unbelievable rhymes, just so clever. Like you said, Jay-Z was looking at him thinking he's the next guy up.
Right.
Everyone kind of had that exact same attitude. And to be in a position to really put this forth in the marketplace and be a part of it was a true historic event for me.
Have you seen anyone come up that sort of rhymes like Big L at all in his rhyme scheme?
I mean, you could even look at like a Mos Def, some of these types of guys that are just that clever, that socially aware, that did it. But I mean, Big L really stands on his own. I mean, his mural still stands the test of time. This record that's almost 20 years old still stands the test of time. And I guess really what it means is to see great shit will last forever, and that's really how, in my opinion, you define a classic, is how long is this music applicable for? Is it Tupac that can continue to be hot, 20 years, 30 years down the road, or is it a flash in the pan? And without a doubt, he's a classic hip-hop artist, just didn't get enough time to see what he could really do. When a guy dies at such a young age and probably never hit his peak, he could have really changed the game on another level.
Oh, 100%. Just to bring this back around, maybe, because we're talking about classic albums and this concept of building a classic album. And Brian, used to work at Priority Records for years, has this label now, RBC Records, and is working with Strange Music and various other artists, Chief Keef. Just to bring it around, the one thing I think I would love our viewers to really understand, because to me it's all about asking the right questions when you go to these labels. Do you know a classic album before it comes out? Because my opinion would be no, absolutely not. I mean, I think that the market will do what the market does, and that will choose if it's going to be a classic album or not in the long run. And that any artist who comes out, I think, is kind of just a little bit of bravado to actually come say like, yo, this is a classic album.
Right.
But you have way more of a experience going from, you know, hey, this is a master that nobody's heard, to like.
I'll give you a couple of examples. I totally know what you're talking about. And as a matter of fact, the plaque right in back of us here, the Dr. Dre plaque, needless to say, that's obviously a classic album as well. I remember my friend Dave Weiner, who found Master P and Tech Nine and actually brought in the Rawkus label to Priority, went into the owner of Priority's office and said that this Dr. Dre record is better than Ice Cube's records, it's better than NWA, and it's a classic. So, you know, that was one time I had heard it. The owner of Priority kind of had exactly your attitude. He said, get the fuck out of here. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. How's a producer going to be this dope? How is he going to be that big? So, yeah, it is hard to tell. I mean, I've been lucky. I got to work on Jay-Z's first album, Reasonable Doubt, and I had a nice feeling about that. I got to tell you, when I was working with Cube in his early days, just the anger and the feeling, he knew that these things would be something special. It's usually, you know it, like you said, after the fact. And you hope every record is, right? You hope every record's going to be that seminal classic. But unfortunately, it's not the case. I am excited about Skippa da Flippa as being that guy that can put that record out and be the classic that will stand the test of time. But I'd be crazy to say, hey, I can call them like that.
Right.
It's like you said, it's up to the marketplace.
So here's some guy who's worked with some of the biggest names in hip hop, and he's agreeing with me that you can't call a classic album. So what you have to do as an artist is just put in the work and put stuff out. That is really the most important thing, and figure out what the market likes. Change a little bit if you have to. I'm not asking you to like become a whole new different person, but you know, you have to watch what the market's doing, talk to some people, get feedback, and we'll continue on with these.
Before we end, when you say you have to watch what the market's doing, for the first time in the history of anything, you can actually see that in real time, whether it's views on YouTube, likes on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. You have this immediate response that's never happened before. Before, you just have to hear it word of mouth.
Or take it to radio and wait for the feedback.
Wait for it. Now it's instantaneous. You guys have such a huge advantage. Take advantage of this. Know what's pushing the numbers. Figure out where your audience is. See what they like. And replicate it and make it even bigger and better.
Right. It's a lot of knowledge right there. Thank you, guys. Again, you can follow me. Follow Hip Hop DX at Hip Hop DX on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Hip Hop DX. You can follow me at Mr. Cherian, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Do you have any?
Brian Shafton and at RBC Records.
There you go. Thank you, guys. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.